Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to the blog. Everyone, DeMarco, how are you, darling?
Hey, sweetheart, how you doing?
I'm really, really good. It's gonna be short and sweet tonight. Lily is off. I don't know where the hell the white man is. I don't know where the colonizer is. But he'll pop up, I guess, or nah. Um, I wanted to jump right into this story, give the people a different dish tonight. We talk about a lot of heavy stuff, and I like shaking it up a bit. I know I'm not going to have 100 people in here because the title doesn't say black people, blah blah blah, right? Usually the bat signal. That's when everybody come a running, right? The word
Absolutely.
black, the word black on social media is a bat signal. It's like, what? Who's talking about blacks? What are they saying about blacks? But you know what I mean? That's not the majority of the content. I like to shake it up, bring people different point of views. And I was interested in this story because we discuss a lot here on the blog how the pendulum is swung all the way to the other side, right? And we went from it's not nice to say one person is special. We went from that to everybody's special now, and everybody has rights. The playing field is level now, right? No one's great. No one's amazing. No one's attractive. Everybody is the same. We're all living in harmony now. Everybody gets a chance and a participation trophy. Right? But I don't know, Haran, you may have a different take on this. The chat may have a different take on this. I don't know. We shall see. There is this actor named Adam Pearson. He's a Brit. He's British. Adam Pearson. He's an actor, and he had some things to say about being stereotyped, and the writers are lazy, and he wants more roles than he's getting. So let's listen to him, and then we will dissect. I thought what he was saying was very interesting. And he's disfigured, not disabled. He's disfigured. But he's talking for disabled people. So we're going to let him talk about what he got to talk about. And everybody deserves to be heard, but we're going to dissect this. Everybody deserves to. You know what I mean? Let's hear what Mr. Adam Pearson has to say, and then we will discuss. Ja. Hopefully it's loud enough. Let's play the videotape.
Normally, there are three kinds of roles or tropes or stereotypes, whatever vernacular one wants to use. There's either the villain, but because I have a disfigurement, I want to kill Batman or James Bond. Then there's the victim, the woe is me, small violin. And then there's the false hero. Like, because I have a disfigurement, but I do like regular dude stuff, whatever regular dude stuff is, I'm somehow braver than the average guy.
Yeah. Do you think there's any sort of onus or responsibility on creatives to address that and change that, and how?
Yeah, I think it's lazy writing. I think we've had our third disfigured Bond bad guy in a row now, and I just think it's a bit lazy, and it's also why are non-disabled people writing about disability without consultation,
Yeah.
or any of that malarkey? Because when that happens, the end result, you might fluke it and get it right once, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to be really inauthentic and inaccurate, and serves not only the disabled community appallingly, but disabled cinema lovers appallingly. Well, so normally there are three kinds of roles or tropes or stereotypes.
Okay, Haran, did you get all that?
Yeah, I did. That's
Okay, you got all that.
I'm trying to remember when folks was asking and consulting with black and brown people when they were putting us up on the screen. I'm trying to find out when that happened. I mean, look, man, image is everything.
Mhm.
Hollywood, television, period. It's a visual medium. And I believe we were discussing this earlier, where now that we have this system, this system that we call social media, because it is a system, we have people just inclined to believe that they have the ability, or they should be granted the ability, to go against, as I've said before, millions of years of social programming. It's embedded in your DNA, where it's like you see this face and you say he's disfigured. Yeah, you say he's disfigured for a reason. Okay, now disfigured isn't a good thing. Disfigured isn't necessarily, you don't necessarily, no, you don't necessarily it isn't synonymous with the hero. It isn't synonymous with the leading man. You're not going to see a guy like that in a rom-com getting the girl. Okay, that's just not going to happen in life. That's like saying, like, 9 times out of 10, you know what I mean, white male roles, like roles meant for Brad Pitt. Me, if I wanted to show up and do those kinds of roles and I don't get it, am I being discriminated against? No, because it was written for a certain kind of person, looks a certain kind of way, who, you know what I mean, a certain demographic of America is going to connect with immediately. When you look at that guy, no, you don't see leading man. You see a person with an affliction.
Okay, so I think that um he would like a role written where he's leading man in a rom-com. How do you think that would fare? How do you think people would take to that? Will we get to the point where it's normal to see someone so disfigured as a leading man in a rom-com? Is that possible?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not possible, because first of all, in order to, a rom-com works when when the leading man, especially because this is a female demographic, it's catered to females. A rom-com like that works when the women see themselves with a guy like that in real life. Okay, you know what I mean? Yeah, again, Leonardo DiCaprio in a rom com works because women can see themselves with a guy like that in real life. When a woman sees a man like that, she feels pity for him. She doesn't. She's not going to get oiled up for him. You know what I mean? Her body isn't going to respond that way. Her body is going to repel that, because she doesn't want that on top of her. And next thing you know, that, you know what I mean, inserts itself in her, and then her seeds have what's going on with that guy. I'm just being honest here.
Now, do you think that yes, sir, Uncle Buck, that is my twin. I just reunited with him. I was excited to see him. Do you think that's because we women have been conditioned to think about a leading man looking a certain type of way? Do you think we've been conditioned, or you think it's innate that we like a Leonardo DiCaprio, that we prefer to see a Ryan Gosling get the girl? Do you think Hollywood has programmed us to like a certain aesthetic?
No, I don't think, to some degree, one can say something is social engineering, but there was something before that social engineering came into play. Okay, it's based on something that's innate. It's always based on some sort of blueprint. Women are innately, attracted to a square jaw. They're innately attracted to broad shoulders, and then they're innately attracted to certain things that are synonymous with protection, that are synonymous with virility, that are synonymous with having healthy seeds, healthy children. That's just what women, look at when they see a man. They see their okay, not only am I rolling around in the hay with this guy, in the back of your mind, your brain is saying, hey, this guy can give me healthy children. You know what I mean? That's why they look for a man who's a certain height, you know what I mean, a certain build. They look for the best genetic material possible to ensure that their progeny, is strong enough to survive in this world. That guy, whatever's going on with him, isn't necessarily synonymous with healthy or surviving in this world. It's a bag of very, very recessive and just poorly constructed genes. It's just what it is. You're muted. You're muted. Muted.
If you're just coming in the room, hit that like and subscribe for me. Tonight we're talking about, are the disabled becoming entitled? There's an actor called Adam Pearson, and he's saying that he's being stereotyped and writers are lazy with their writing. And I'm going to get into that a little bit. But this is Adam Pearson. If you missed the video, that is Adam Pearson on the right. He is disfigured. He's an actor out of the UK. And he is saying that writers are lazy, and he would like different roles. Now, hold on, let's get into, this is what I found interesting, right? And where he lost me a little bit. First of all, Hollywood is not the business of feelings, right? It's in the business of money and putting asses in seats. That's why, it makes me laugh when people of color, not just Black people, the plight isn't only yours. I know you think it's exclusive to you, but it's not. So when we look at people of color, Asians, Latinos, Black people, when they're constantly complaining and crying like, oh, we got snubbed at the Oscars. We got snubbed at the Grammys. We didn't get a Golden Globe. Why isn't there more Latin representation? Why isn't there more Latin representation? Latins, we fill the seats the most. We go to the movie theater the most. And statistically, that's true. Latin people go to the movie theater the most. But here's the thing. When you put out a movie and they put out plenty and they flop at the theater, me as a studio head, regardless of my gender and ethnic background, I'm not putting out something that's not going to put asses in seats because your feelings are hurt. Hollywood is a business, and it's not the business of feelings. It's the business of, I put out a product, I get asses in seats, and I'm going to do what I have to do to get those asses in seats. Now, if I want to do charity work, then I'll teach drama at the church for free. Right? So there's always a lot of complaining and feelings, right? This guy is expressing his feelings, how he feels. But this is where he lost me. These are the three characters that he said he stereotyped with. This was very, very interesting. He said the villain, either he's going to kill Batman or James Bond, the villain, because his face is disfigured. I thought that was funny too. Or the victim, right? The guy with the violin and it's like, look how horrible his life is. Or the regular dude that when he does regular stuff is triumphant because he's disfigured. Those are the three things that he says he gets stereotyped by. And if somebody put those three choices in front of me, I would think that's every fucking actor.
Absolutely.
That's every actor.
That's absolutely every actor. I mean, when you see a Angelina Jolie, certain things come to mind. When you see a Idris Elba, certain things come to mind. No one's gonna look. Do you look at a fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger and you say, "Hey, let's cast him in the role as a quadriplegic. Let's cast him in the role as a victim," even though this guy looks like he literally can break boards with his thumb. People are gonna this is gonna work. It's like saying this is a great. I'm glad we're here. Remember that joke that I just said a couple of days ago that Kevin Hart tried to motherfucking make us sit there for 2 hours that this motherfucker was Daniel Ocean.
It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I told you I only watched 12 minutes. I couldn't do it. This little man in these little suits running around like some global. I couldn't do it. Kevin, I don't.
Like this guy is FBI's most wanted. He's doing his Ocean's 11 thing. He's smooth. He's a smooth operator. Like you couldn't. It's just like I can't buy it.
Nope, I couldn't. My eyes couldn't buy it either. So I watched it for 12 minutes. But when I hear that, I'm like, how many times I played the villain, and I'm not disfigured. This is every actor eventually is going to play, if they're good, the villain, the victim, and the regular person. So I didn't understand when he said, oh, those are the roles they tell me to play. I mean, Charlize Theron is a beautiful woman. She got an Oscar for playing a down-out prostitute, murderer, just terrible. She gained like 40 pounds for the role. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of actors, what's his name? Batman, Christian Bale. Christian Bale lost half his body weight, and he looked horrible.
Yeah. Heard the movie was amazing, though.
I'm sure. I mean, it's Christian Bale. I'm sure it was. He's been acting since he was a child. Did you see that movie he was in when he was a child?
No, but people told me about it. They told me it was incredible.
Like, listen, you watch him as a kid, and you're like, oh, this is a phenom. It's a phenom. For him to do that role, it will blow your mind that he's a child and he was able to get into that role that way. He was born to do that. Christian Bale was born to act.
And that's, and you know, very few times, see, those are the people that I usually root for. Those people that when you look at them, you say, and this goes for any artist, period. The people that when you look at them, you're like, nah, this person, that person's got it. You know what I mean? Like those people who have it, like Prince playing like 30 fucking instruments at 12, you know what I mean, and shit like that. Those people are just, that's them. You know what I mean? But very few people are like that. You know what I mean? Very few people are like that. But him, look, man, you know, life dealt you. Here's the amazing thing about it. Life dealt you a very fucked up hand. I get it, bro. But there's an actor out here who's just as good or better than you, who's not as disfigured, that can't get a break at all. That'll never get it. That'll never make it to your height. That'll never make it to your what did he call it? Lazy written, you know what I mean, movies and so on and so forth, where these lazy tropes, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, bro, like you want to talk about lazy tropes? Try being a minority in a fucking movie. You know what I mean? You know, just recently, you know, people have just been, you know, expanding and expounding on the idea that, you know, maybe minorities are more than just stereotypes, that, you know, maybe they marry and, you know, have opinions and so on and so forth, and all that other fascinating shit that human beings actually do, you know. So to him, I'm saying, yeah, but you're still cutting a check.
Right.
And you'll still, when they do the Elephant Man sequel, I'm sure, you know what I mean? Look, I'm just calling it what it is.
Right. Which he would probably be great in, you know?
Yeah.
So let's explore when, first of all, just so everyone knows, I am of the mindset, if you want something done a certain way, do it yourself. But I'm going to I'm entertaining this conversation for the sake of it's an interesting conversation. With that said, I am of the mindset, if you want something done, if you want representation, do it yourself. Otherwise, you're just on the sidelines complaining, and nobody cares about you complaining. People care about money. Again, show business is not the business of feelings, right? Money doesn't cry, right? So this guy, and let me ask you this, Haran. When you're talking about people of color, specifically Asians, Latins, and Black people, when we've appeared in films throughout many, many decades in Hollywood, you know, the Latina was either the sex pot, she want to fuck everything, or she's the help or the maid. Black people, the thug, the threat, the spot in an ensemble cast of 5 white people in the movie Aliens. There's that one Black nerd, right, who can add really well on the computer really quickly, right? With Asian people, they make fun of their accent, their eyes, or whatever, the yellow people, right? So throughout decades, that's how it's been for all people of color, not just Black people. So when we say, you said earlier, you know, well, he has a problem with writers not bringing disfigured people in the room. What about people writing for us? So let me ask you this. I write for white people. I'm not consulting with them. Right? So how much is leaving the creative freedom in the hands of the actual writer? Because when you write, you're writing from your observation, from your world. Well, don't forget that. If I tell 3 painters to paint you, I'm going to get 3 different versions of you. Does that mean that one of them should have consulted or met you in person?
Well, that's a very I understand what you're saying, but let's just say, okay, there's a difference between, I'm gonna use this guy as an example. There's a difference between a guy who is a white dude who was raised in middle class or upper class area of America, as opposed to a white dude like, I don't know, we'll just say Eminem for now. You know what I mean? We'll just use that guy for now.
Okay.
Who would be more so if one was a playwright and, you know what I mean, who would more so have the background or the authority to speak on creating a black character or a minority character? We can say Eminem because he grew up more so around blacks, or
Mhm.
he's more so familiar with black culture. Now,
Mhm.
is this to say that he shouldn't, consult with us and so on? No, no one's saying that. I think personally, everyone should consult with everyone, or at least have some kind of understanding of a culture before you speak on it. You know what I mean? But you actually have hung out with white people. You have actually, experienced different cultures. So when
Mhm.
you're going to speak on something or a particular group of people, it's not from this space. It's this space of, like, what the fuck is that? Like most black people, if they wrote for a white person, and I've had to check a few on that. You know what I mean? They'll rarely look at them from a lens of being barely able to scrape by or being middle class, or what I mean, they're always in this great situation. They're always, what I mean, well off. They're always, what I mean, from this utopian perspective. And it's like, no, not all white people are what I mean, living this particular life. There's some white people out here struggling for real, probably more than you. You know what I mean? But a lot of them can't really speak from that space because they never experienced it. They never really been around it. They never really been around that culture and so on. But ironically, if you take a black person who isn't from the hood, and if he's trying to speak about black people who are from that area, what I mean, that person is not necessarily qualified to speak on that. Because even though he looks like, what I mean, the people from the hood, he didn't live that life. He didn't live that. He has to have some connection of consultation, if you may, some sort of consult, something.
I disagree with you,
Okay,
and
you
I'm
think
gonna be
you think
no.
that a black person who's well off, never had any contact with black people from the hood, can speak realistically on that experience?
Okay, no, that's not what I disagree with. I disagree with like the when you first started talking like 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
The whole thing. I am about, and I know people are gonna be like, no, that I am about creative freedom if you are an artist. And this is not gender or race specific. If you are a white person and you're writing about Puerto Ricans, I don't feel like you have to consult Puerto Ricans. This is your vision. This is your art. These are your creative works. You know why I say that? Because when I write and I write for people, artists, this is how we interpret life. We put it in a package, whether it's music, paintings, films, and we put it out there. And then it's up to you to accept it or reject it or whatever. But I feel like when you tell an artist of any race or gender, you have to consult with such and such before you write about them, then you're tying their hands and it's no longer creative freedom. It's your idea of what you think I should write so you could be happy. But you just proved a minute ago that an affluent black man who grew up in the Hamptons can't relate to Pookie and Ray Ray. So
Right.
why should he be writing about Pookie and Ray Ray? However, that guy that grew up in the Hamptons has a point of view about Pookie and Ray Ray. He doesn't have to consult Pookie and Ray Ray, in my opinion, because then you take away his creative license, in my opinion.
Even if it's stereotypical.
Even if it's stereotypical, it is his.
To have a very shallow understanding. I understand what you're saying, but I personally speaking, what I mean, coming from the perspective of someone who actually writes, I'm not going to write on something that I at least don't take the time out to even research or understand on a base level. It's like even music, you know what I mean? If I'm going to create a certain kind of music and it's supposed to have a certain kind of element to it, I'm going to study that kind of music. I'm going to study the greats of that particular genre to hear how they might approach the drums, to hear how they might do this, to hear how they might do that, in order to authentically put that into what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
I think instruments is different than point of view. I think instruments is different because if you got 5 strings on a guitar, it's still an interpretation. However, there's a 5-string guitar. You're not going to play like it's 7 strings or 2 strings. You still there's a certain technique and basics that you have to learn. Then you could put your stank on it, but it'll always be 5 strings.
But however, here's the thing. There might be some sort of chordal approaches and progression approaches in per se like Latin classical music that you wouldn't necessarily have in jazz music. Now, if I come from a particularly jazz background and I'm using mostly my jazz aesthetics and my understanding of jazz music, and I'm applying it to like a certain classical, blend, then it might not work. It might not work in that regard because I'm not taking the time out to understand that, okay, this particular way of composition doesn't necessarily work in this, particular realm. That's what I'm saying. Like,
But isn't that you're right?
Wait 1 second. That's what I'm saying. Like taking the time out to actually at least reference something and study it, on at least more so than just a shallow level helps. It helps with the authenticity of the final work.
But isn't that your right as an artist to approach the art the way you see fit? That is my argument. I
said that earlier, though. I said that earlier.
Right. I don't consult with, I do not, I write for Latin people, Black people, LGBTQ community people, and white people. I don't need consult. I have my own point of view. I have lived, I have experience. Now, with that said, if you feel offended, isn't art objective? If you feel offended, some people look at a Picasso and think it's the ugliest thing ever. I was never into Picassos. I don't see the art. Sorry. You can explain it to me 10 different ways. I do not see the art in a Picasso. I think some people decided that shit was phenomenal art, and then human beings are cattle and decided, oh my God, it's art. I think it's hot garbage. I don't like it. I think the dude I think he couldn't paint and said, this is how I interpret human faces. And then someone said, oh yeah. And then he died. And now the pictures are worth $1 billion. I still don't see the art, but I don't have to still call that man an artist. So I'm coming from the point of view where I think there's a sensitivity with not only people of color, but now disabled people. I think that they are all entitled. I've never seen a film like, oh my God, you should have consulted a Latina. Why every time Denzel is in a movie with a Latina, the movie starts out him fucking her? I can name you 3 movies right now where Denzel was in a film with a Latina that he was fucking. Why every time Denzel with a Latina he's fucking her? Why can't she just be his coworker? Right?
You know what? He's never fucked a white woman in any of his movies, but he
got a thing. It's like against his little.
It's like he's fucked a few Latinas in his movies. Not to mention it.
There's a movie. What is it? Is it the Flight movie where it fucking starts him just finishing, getting off? Well, I could look at that and be sensitive and be like, why didn't they consult with a Latina? A Latina would have never got up out of bed, walked around in her thought. To me, it's silly because I don't want anyone policing my art. Again, I write for a myriad of ethnicities and sexual orientations. I don't give a fuck that you don't think that I should have consulted you to get it just right. I'm an artist.
Right.
And we're all sensitive about our shit. So if I tell you, draw this flower for me to 5 people in the room, 5 people are going to interpret it their way. And that's what I'm saying. I think disabled people, along with people of color, along with people in the LGBTQ, are becoming entitled. Social media made these demographics entitled, and everybody doesn't deserve a trophy or a say.
Well,
deserve a say?
Here's the thing. It's like saying people who seek, who are job searching and so on. One of the things that they hate receiving, they hate receiving in rejection letters, saying, thanks for applying. We'll keep your name in the database, blah, blah, blah. The generic shit that they always say. People say, well, why don't they give feedback? And I often tell people that that's literally not even practical. Because out of the 1,000 people who probably didn't, get the job, or not even thousands, probably hundreds and thousands of people didn't get the job. If they were to sit down and, tell every single person, well, you didn't get this because you didn't get, that's literally a job within itself.
Yes.
It's literally a job within itself. So it's impractical. That's why the idea of a utopia, what these people are speaking up from, is a space of utopia. You know what I mean? That's why it's impossible for a utopia to exist, because everyone is not going to get what they want.
So if that's impractical, if it's impractical to write everyone and say, hey, you could have did better in the interview, blah, 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 you had the wrong color nail polish on, your hair was wonky, how is it not impractical that every time you see a role on TV or in a film, how is it practical that you go running out and consult the people? With that said, thank you, everybody that just walked in the room. Hit that like and subscribe for me. I'm going to play this video one more time because, like I said, I'm not going to be here long tonight, but I just found this very, very interesting. And I think the pendulum is swinging to the other side and it's becoming ridiculous. Everybody wants in. Everybody wants in without creating. And that's what bothers me. This gentleman here, if he has an issue with being cast the way he's being cast, him and his other disfigured friends or disabled friends can start a fucking studio. I do not understand this hanging on the nuts of Hollywood to represent us the way we want to be represented. Don't go to the movies. Boycott Hollywood, but do it for real, or do it yourself. Why is it so impossible for human beings to think if you want something done, do it yourself? That is why I started writing, because I'm doing it myself.
Before you play that, today I didn't even get involved in the conversation. There's this hoopla on Twitter right now about Fantasia being snubbed and Ryan Gosling, being nominated for as Ken and so on. And I'm just like, first of all, if you think Fantasia and Ryan Gosling are literally in the same, that's the problem. You think that Ryan Gosling and Fantasia are literally in the same bucket. And come on, man, that Barbie movie was a fucking phenomenon. I mean, it literally was a economic and social phenomenon for that whole fucking summer. You know what I mean? So, of course, it stands to reason that they would have picked up something. Fantasia was there, you know what I mean, because she was Fantasia, and they were hoping she could sing, and they were hoping to bring in some seats, you know what I mean? She's not this Oscar-worthy actress. Let's just call it what it is. The Color Purple fucking bombed.
But, it did bomb. They gave Jennifer Hudson an Oscar.
Right.
Jennifer Hudson at the time was a fat woman who can sing. She got an Oscar for being a fat woman who can sing. Literally. They gave her an Oscar for being what she is. There was no stretch of the imagination. There was no suspended belief.
I mean, well, the role itself was what it was. But, if Fantasia didn't get, acknowledged, it is what it is. Again, with these, when it comes to the Oscars or any one of these award shows, it's just one of those things. It's like pick a struggle. You know what I mean? Are you upset with these people and it's about race that year that you're not acknowledged, or are we progressing as a society that year when everybody you want is getting, their trophy?
What people don't understand is, and then I'm gonna play this video. What people don't understand is that awards, period, accolades, period, especially in entertainment. Listen to me carefully, everybody watching. Awards, period, accolades, period, plaques, trophies are literally a cog in the wheel of the entertainment, right? It's like it's the party for this machine that's already going, but the party doesn't mean shit. It's fanfare. It's kind of like people getting married and they care more about the wedding and the details and the reception than the actual marriage. Okay. So much goes into consultations. People spend more time thinking about how the cake is going to look and taste than whether or not you guys have the same religion. How many times a week do you want to fuck? How many children do you want to have? You spend more fucking time on the cake. Why? Because that's the fun part, right? So similarly, accolades, award shows, that's the party, but it's yay big in comparison to the machine that keeps going, right? It's like Denzel said when he got the Oscar. He was like, it's an 8-pound statue. I mean, I wasn't going to give it back, but what does it really mean? It means an increase in my wages. But what does it really mean, right? And that's how awards are. Like that fucking thing. YouTube is on it. Now they're giving people those plaques. Look, you got 500,000 followers.
Yeah, so what
What do people do? They start going after that plaque. But it's really, you're just a rat in the race, just for a different, right? Just for a different company now. When you're an actor, I have to get that Oscar. I have to get that Oscar. Now you're on YouTube. I have to get that silver plaque. I got to get the gold plaque.
It's like the Employee of the Month trophy.
Exactly. To keep you, right? It's like now people think that's important. And you got to see what I'm planning to do with that. But anyway, let's play this again, and then I want to pull a comment. I want to pull Lovely Lisa's comment because I think it's important, and I want to address that. But let's play this guy again. Hit that like and subscribe. I want you guys to hear it. For whoever didn't hear it, it's just a 1-minute clip. Check out what he said. Let me know, are the disabled becoming entitled now as the pendulum swung all the way to the other side?
There are three sort of like kinds of roles or tropes or stereotypes, whatever vernacular one wants to use. There's either the villain, that because I have a disfigurement, I want to kill Batman or James Bond. Then there's the victim, the woe is me, small violin. And then there's the false hero. Like, because I have a disfigurement, but I do like regular dude stuff, whatever regular dude stuff is, I'm somehow braver than the average guy.
Yeah. Do you think there's any sort of onus or responsibility on creatives to address that and change that? And how?
Yeah, I think it's lazy writing. I think we've had our third disfigured Bond bad guy in a row now, and I just think it's a bit lazy, and it's also why are non-disabled people writing about disability without consultation,
yeah,
or any of that malarkey? Because when that happens, the end result, you might fluke it and get it right once, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to be really inauthentic and inaccurate, and serves not only the disabled community appallingly, but disabled cinema lovers appallingly. Well, so normally
So there we go. We heard it again.
There's something amongst parents where it's just like, one of the number one rule with parents when you have like multiple kids: don't buy one a toy if you're not gonna get a toy for all the rest of them.
Right.
And that's where we are because of social media. One person, because it's the illusion of access, the shit just warps people's fucking minds. You know what I mean? Not that, yeah, this person got a trophy, this person got this person got that. However, in the real world, this person is, capable. This person busts their ass. This person worked for this particular thing. In this shit here, everyone has this illusion of being capable. It's like this Dunning-Kruger shit, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, oh, I have the authority to speak on, matters of the law, matters of medicine, matters of nuclear physics, matters of all these other things. No, I am not. I am capable, and I am an authority on music, an authority on technology, an authority on art, authority on philosophy and certain things in that regards. But when it comes to certain things that I know I'm not an authority on, I shut the fuck up. Or I might give a disclaimer and say that, hey, my knowledge on this particular thing is extremely limited. However, based on what I know and what's being presented in front of me, here is my perspective and my opinion. Blah blah blah. Motherfuckers be sitting there behaving as if they are an authority on everything just because they have the ability to speak on it. And since they have the ability to speak on it, they deserve the same treatment.
And by the ability
as someone else.
And by the ability to speak on it, you literally mean fixing their fingers to type. Like not too long ago, I was posting the results and the attorney commentary on Jonathan Major's case on Facebook. And this guy jumped in the comments and said, oh, I know more than the average lawyer. So we're just going to diminish the expert, the pros. None of that means anything anymore. We're going to diminish people that are attractive, none of that means anything anymore. There's nothing means nothing anymore, and everybody can come in and do and be what they want, right? And they forget that human beings are very, very, very simple. And most of human beings are cattle. So they like things the way they are. That guy, the disfigured guy, if he so chooses, he can start his own company of disfigured and disabled people and then cast an entire ensemble of disfigured and disabled people and see if it sells. That is what I say. See if it sells. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your efforts where your mouth is. Instead of complaining who's not writing you correctly, who's stereotyping you, put your money where your mouth is and prove it is the burden of proof is on you that you can sell yourself as a romantic interest. And I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm saying prove it. Prove it. That's what I'm saying. So I want to grab this. Hold on, Mom. I want to grab this comment because it's important. Lovely Lisa said, that's an interesting point, but what if most of those artists are of a particular race? No, it's not their problem or our right to police the artist, but there is an aspect of gatekeeping. So let's talk about gatekeeping real quick. Gatekeeping is real, but it is synonymous with tribalism. And that's not gender specific or race specific, right? Because let's say when we looked at the brunch, we saw that Jay-Z brunch. It was Kevin Hart and Diddy, and you know what I mean? It's like, could we get in there?
No, absolutely not.
Not right now, right? We can't get in there. Now we go a million, right? Not right now. But if we go a million subscribers and I start interviewing more celebrities, then it's easy to get an invite.
Right. Right.
Right. So is that gatekeeping? Because similarly with us, if we throw a party, can anybody just walk in our party? And it's anybody. So yeah, gatekeeping exists, but everybody does it. We started doing that in junior high school. You can't sit with us.
I personally feel that we are here right now with social media because of the lack of gatekeeping. See, gatekeeping sets a standard. Gatekeeping, as unfair as it might seem to those who, you can't get past the gate, you know what I mean? It still sets a standard because, hey, no matter who you are, say if your occupation that you had, that you've been busting your ass and doing for 5-10 years, whatever occupation it is, and one day someone decides to hire a guy or a woman who doesn't have your credentials, your years of experience, but they have 3,000 followers on social media. So they'll be like, fuck it. That's good enough. You're the manager of this team of health professionals because you're on Twitter and you sound like you know what you're talking about. You've read a few books. Fuck it. You're in charge of every fucking body. You look at this motherfucker like, what's going on here? Where's the barrier to entry? Where's the gatekeeping? Who greenlit this shit? Yeah, it makes sense now because now you have skin in the game. So you get people to understand certain things when you say, when you force them to have skin in the game. When you force them to realize that, hey, what if your shit that you're an actual expert on, someone came in who has no idea what they're talking about when it compares to you, actually got more shine and actually got more of what, that you feel you deserve. Now it's a problem. Now it's a fucking issue. But guess what? You forgot real quick. You forgot how that felt real quick when you were sitting there actually saying that, oh, like the gentleman who was in the comments, I know more than the average lawyer. Really, sir? Do you? Do you? I would bet my life that you couldn't even know the difference between a trademark and a copyright or a fucking, affidavit. You wouldn't know.
Attorney. He graduated summa cum laude Facebook. The Facebook bar.
So, me personally, like, again, in those situations, yeah, you're so confident in your legal skills. Okay, would you represent somebody who's facing 30 years? Would you say, hey, champ, fire that guy? I know more than the average fucking lawyer. Put me on half of the retainer. I'll get you out of here. You'd be both of you will be a complete fucking idiot if you sat there and entertained that. You know what I mean? But again, it's all about it's all about skin in the game. It's easy to say a lot of things until your fucking ass is actually on the line.
So Black Lexicon says, how many times has Hollywood ever consulted the Black community for the truth before producing a film that reflects Black culture? Not a none ever. But why? Let me ask again, because everybody speaks from, and I'm trying to get people out of the habit from speaking as a victim and from speaking from a defeatist point of view. Why do they have to consult with Black people if they're the ones putting up the money? Who the fuck do you think you are? That's what I would ask. And I ask this as a woman of color. John Leguizamo, every fucking year complaining about the Golden Globes. He got such a hard on for the Golden Globes. There's no Latinos in the Golden Globe. Why does the Golden Globes have to give a Latino a fucking award if they are footing the bill? You sound insane. That is like, you are homeless and hungry. I invite you to my house. I'm serving turkey tonight. And you fix your face to tell me I don't eat turkey. I eat chicken. If I am footing the bill, you shut the fuck up and take it, or you change it. No one has to consult with anybody. Now, you have a right not to go see that movie should you choose, but you don't have a right to tell somebody who's footing the bill what they should be doing, right? Right here. Thank you. POB says Oscars deal with Oscars so white every other year. This must be the year, right? Because we skipped last year. So this is definitely the year when we go back to, why didn't Fantasia get a Oscar over Ryan Gosling? Whoever thinks that shit was even remotely not stupid to say doesn't know Ryan Gosling's resume. Just doesn't know it. Just doesn't know.
Quick thing though, I have to Black Lexicon. I have to correct him on that. I mean, in Training Day, they actually consulted real gang members. Hell, they actually put real gang members in the goddamn movie. So, I mean, that was one. And Black Panther also, Marvel specifically went out there looking for a Black director who can bring, who can speak to the Black experience. And they made sure that that whole thing was Black as hell. So, and it was, and, they did not have to do that, really. They did not have to do that, but they made sure to get, the blackest motherfuckers they could find, to pull it off. And they did. So we can't sit here and say that Hollywood has never done that. They've done it. Do they consistently do it? No, but we can't sit here and say that it's never been done. No, it's been
done. It's been done. It's been done. Even with West Side Story, like it's been done. It's been done.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Pose, right? Like they went out there and actually got like real trans women. Mm-hmm. They didn't have to really do that.
No, I know it's not. Lovely Lisa says, no, it's not race specific, but when we are talking about writers in Hollywood, yes, it's changing, but it tends to be mostly one particular race. You do need to do it yourself. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we already know that going in. So for 2024, listen, again, I'm shopping a dramedy right now. I wrote for white people. Now you can sit there and say, when my shit hits the presses and it's, spinning on whatever network, I want a white person to fix their face and say, we're not all on Prozac.
But, to their, I guess, defense to some degree, anybody can create any kind of fucking perception of white people, and nobody fucking really questions that shit. Especially when you're a minority. We can throw white people under the bus and nobody really questions that shit. The moment that they have a stereotypical Black person, particularly in a horror movie, who dives 5 seconds into that motherfucker, we remind everybody that the first person that died was a Black dude. It just is what it is. White people don't necessarily have a large voice when it comes to discrimination in movies, particularly white men. They just don't. I'll just call it what it is. And those are the breaks.
And I think that it's fair because they own that bitch.
Absolutely.
So if I own something and you got some stereotypical shit to say about me, I'm going to sit back, count my billions and laugh. Because I own the house. The house always wins. I own the house.
like for instance, you know what I mean? Every Jamaican in almost every movie has dreads. Like I remember when you know what I mean, here, you know what I mean, when I was younger, motherfuckers, I was like, yeah, I'm Jamaican. It was like, where's your dreads? I'm like, we don't all wear fucking dreads, man. You know what I mean? You know, and every, you know what I mean, Jamaican in every goddamn movie that I've seen, or any Caribbean person that I've seen in every movie, 9 times out of 10 isn't a Caribbean person. You know what I mean? There's just this what happened?
This is true. Black Lexicon said, I think it's a little bit different when it claims to be fact over fiction, but people get triggered over fiction also. People get triggered, period.
Absolutely.
Period. People were trying to boycott Robert Downey Jr. but don't go retard, never go full retard.
Yo,
that
shit
was fucking phenomenal.
That shit was incredible. That shit, I'm glad he stood 10 toes down on that shit. He told them motherfuckers, he told everybody to go fuck themselves in true Tony Stark fashion. Fuck that. And that will always be one of the funniest roles Robert Downey Jr. has ever done. Like, I never knew he could do comedy like that.
And people are so easily triggered, and it's faux outrage. Let's be clear, it is faux outrage because people be mad at him, and then the next thing, oh, Beyonce pulled out a titty. They don't really care. They don't really care. Racism in general, stereotypes, tropes are just like a little nuisance. It's like a little gnat, but not enough for anybody to really do a fuck about it, right? Because everybody out here just trying to survive, right? At the end of the day, nobody really cares. But Robert Downey Jr., no, let me land the plane here. Robert Downey Jr., people were so stupid, they didn't even realize he was making fun of a thing.
Yes.
That's a thing that Hollywood does.
Yes. And he was stuck in character. Basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a very brilliant thing if you think about it. You know what I mean? He was spoofing, you know what I mean, in a sense, yes, the stereotypical nature of Hollywood. He was spoofing the fuck out of that shit. But motherfuckers, the blackface. Look, listen, man. You know, you just said something that really lies at the core of it. You know what I mean? Most people are just trying to get by. Most people are just trying to, survive. You know what I mean? We have two kinds of people in America. You have the people that are just trying to get by and survive, and those people who live the particular life that they're living right now that might not necessarily be that bad, but they still failed at something, and they haven't made peace with that. Man, look, listen, there's a bunch of guys out there who, on the surface, they're a great dad, they're this, they're that, they're exceptional husband. But deep down inside, he realizes and he knows that he is living this particular life that he's living because he blew his fucking knee out in college and he never, realized his NFL dreams. And that fucks with him. You can always tell that guy because guess what? That's the guy that's yelling. That's the guy that's yelling and ready to kill the coaches, his kids fucking, football games, and there's a lot of people out there who are disgruntled. There are a lot of unhappy people out here. So it's easy to trigger unhappy people because they're just looking for something to just pounce on.
Amen. I saw this guy, I almost clipped it because I couldn't believe the way he was yelling on his live about a football game. And I mean yelling with passion and vein popping out. Yeah, say some shit now. And I was like, this man is talking about sport. Not about his life in America, not about his rights, not about his wages, not about a football game. It's so interesting.
I mean, because at the end of the day, a lot of people, that's all they have. Now, look, listen, on the flip side of things, even though when you hear some of my music, you can tell that, yeah, I took the time out to study this form of music. I took the time out to think about what's going on and so on. But I still get shit afterwards. You know what I mean? You can see the shit in the comments. One motherfucker was like, he's Jamaican. Why is he playing this kind of music? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just supposed to just sit here and try to sound like a Marley, because I come from this particular space. But as an artist, there is just no escaping getting tomatoes thrown at you because motherfuckers will find some shit.
Yep.
You know,
If you want to support the show, mi gente, ladies and gentlemen, Cash App on the Block with Jen if you enjoyed this evening. I wanted to give you guys something different, always something different, interesting, things that I find interesting, and hopefully we can all discuss and you find interesting as well. We are not, the block is not one note. I thought this was interesting. At the end of the day, this may sound harsh, but I'm going to answer the question before we are out of here. Are the disabled becoming entitled? I say yes. A lot of people are becoming entitled, including people of color, all people of color. And I feel like before you choose entitlement, choose creation. And I'll land the plane there. What say you, Haran?
I think a lot of people spend their time, especially now, seeking acknowledgement. This is where this comes from. You know, everyone is just seeking this acknowledgement. Everyone is seeking this this space where they need to feel good about themselves. They're seeking some sort of representation and so on and so forth. What is the word that I'm looking for? Validation.
Yes.
Validation. That is it. You know what I mean? We've become this society and culture of no one is well unless they're receiving constant, bottomless validation. And that's not real life, man.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you, St. Pack. Again, support the show. Cash App on the Block with Jen. Tomorrow topic, very, very heavy. We're gonna talk about the death penalty. Are you for or against? There is a man going to be put to death this Thursday on the 25th because the first attempt at putting them to death was botched. It did not work. So they're going to try to kill him again on Thursday. We're going to discuss that case. And then the next day, we will know whether or not they actually went through with killing this man. But we're going to discuss that case. And also, are you for or against the death penalty and why? And we'll talk about his case and how it was botched and all of that. And what he's going through, what he's saying, and also the crime he committed to even end up on death row. What they're using, the form in which they're going to administer the death penalty to him on Thursday is something that has never been tried before. He will be the first one to die in this fashion, and the death penalty is very controversial. His attorneys are fighting tooth and nail to avoid it, but he will be the first because obviously this technique is not something they can test on people. They've tested it on some pigs, and we will discuss that tomorrow. The death penalty. Are you for or against? And we will talk and see if they kill this guy the next day or not. So tune in tomorrow. It's going to be a hot block tomorrow. We will see you tomorrow. Good night. Thank you for joining us. Haran DeMarco. Hit that like and subscribe on your way out for Mama. Thank you for the compliments. Thank you for the super chats. And thank you for the Cash Apps. Don't forget, follow me on the Block with Jen on Instagram, and you will get plenty of me and information over there about me and what I do, my acting and my reading. Good night. Thank you, lovely Lisa, for your comments and everybody who participated in the chat. Good night, guys. See you mañana.